Okay, Commanders, Chargers. Better to be 3-2 than 2-3. Good to have JD5 back. Please understand how important he is to this team. His football intelligence is so key to why this team is good because the defense could certainly be a horrible one if we didn't have a quarterback that played with such high football IQ as him. And you might be wondering, well, how does he help the defense? Well, he keeps his defense off the field because he makes certain plays at all times in the game that gives his team a higher probability of winning the game, even when they're down in certain games, as we saw last year. So when we complain that he runs the ball in the first quarter when he should be, and he takes a hit when he should be throwing it out of bounds, there's a method to his madness. Jaden Daniels seems to take personally the concept of football being a game of inches. He knows that, okay, it's early in the game, but if I get my team in 3rd and 2 on a 6-yard scramble, then we have a better probability of keeping our team going and maybe scoring than if I just throw it away and it's 3rd and 8. There are many more plays for 3rd and 2 than there is for 3rd and long. So he's always thinking ahead of everyone else, and he puts his team in a position where they have a higher probability of being successful. Also, you keep the defense for the opponent on the field, and they can get worn out faster. More importantly, high-powered offenses like the one here with San Diego, you keep them off the field as well. Or at the very least, very good quarterbacks, you keep them off the field as well with JD's sense of timing. He almost has a spiritual sense of timing, and he does the right thing at the right time, no matter what point of the game it is. And it may seem trivial, it may seem dumb that he took a hit, but there's a method to his madness. And so glad to have him back, and we should be very glad to have a quarterback like him. And time will show that having him is a big deal. Now, Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, I did a couple breakdown videos on his skill set, and you know how I feel about him, and he showed up and showed out in this game like I expected him to. Just give him opportunities. And he certainly got that. On 15 touches, he got 150 plus yards. That's 10 yards per touch. That is elite level. So, and quietly, I think the Commanders are putting together a team that is not too dissimilar than the Triplets. If you know who the Triplets are, they were the three-headed monster on offense for the Cowboys back in the 90s when they won 3 Super Bowls in 5 years, something like that. They had Emmitt Smith, Troy Aikman, and Michael Irvin. So if the Commanders can get a big, dominant wide receiver on the outside opposite Terry, and then you have in a slot Debo, and then you have Bill Krosky Merritt, and you have Jaden Daniels, you can certainly put together a hell of an offensive team, and a dominant one that can really put you in a position to win some Super Bowls. And I'm not afraid to say that, but they're just missing that piece on the outside. But they just might get there with what they got right now, but I hope they draft somebody like that. Like a Brian Thomas Jr. or a Trey Harris, who the Commanders liked, but the Chargers ended up taking. Now, Trey Harris, I don't think he played in this game, but, having a 6'3" guy that's 220 pounds, that's a good route runner that can help your offense for sure. Continuing on offense, Luke McCaffrey, he's one of those guys that you just need on your team. He just seems like he's a puzzle piece to a championship type team. I don't know what it is, but when you see teams that are championship type teams, they have certain players that you always see, certain role players on those teams. And McCaffrey seems like one of those guys. And I said in my breakdown videos of his skill set that he's a guy that I would keep on the team. And a lot of what I said is turning out to be prophetic in the sense that he's a good kick returner and he just makes plays with sheer aggression and a dog mentality, and that shows up in his play. Another thing I noticed about McCaffrey when I was watching his tape in college, though he was young at the receiver position, being a former quarterback, I feel like he had a good knack for catching all kind of difficult passes, and that would certainly fare well for a player like him. So he could play the role of like a Yoshivas in Cincinnati with Joe Burrow, of course. So when they have Joe Burrow, Yoshivas is a good piece that gets his plays in when guys like Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are bottled up for whatever reason. So certainly McCaffrey can be that type of guy. Now, another guy that I've sort of talked about on social media and a little bit here and there is Tay Martin. I feel like he just seems like a professional receiver, and I think and I hope that he can stick around on this team, and I hope they see that in him. He's been reliable, even though he has 2 catches, but he plays special teams, and he just seems like a reliable professional receiver that's a role player, the type of guy that could be on this team. And I hope he doesn't get cut and put on a practice squad and then released and all of that. Just keep the guy. I just think he's a nice little piece. Now, you're going to get Terry back, and even if you draft somebody that is a good player, a good receiver out of college, you certainly still can have a role for somebody like Tay Martin and McCaffrey. So there's that. The offensive line did a great job again for the running backs, and they're becoming a smash mouth running team, and I just hope that Cliff can stick to it and not be pass happy, because we know he likes to pass the ball, even to set up running scenarios. So just stop playing around and become a smash mouth running football team and a tough defense, and they'll be perfectly fine because you got the runners to run that scheme. So yeah, going to defense, I thought McGee certainly flashed, and I just hope he can stay healthy, because he's one of those guys that is like Coleman and Noah Brown, where they're always nicked up. And I just hope that he can stay healthy, because he's had an injury history, even in college, that I just hope that he's gotten past it, or he gets past it. So, but McGee certainly looked like a Fred Warner type linebacker, and they need that type of youth, athleticism, and speed from the linebacker position. Johnny Newton had a good game. It's time for him to get this thing rolling, because if you watch his college tape, he just looked like a guy that could be a problem in the NFL, and he just hasn't really been consistent enough. Yes, last year he was injured and working his way through that, but this year it's time for him to step up big, and hopefully this game against the Chargers was the start of something good for him. Let's see. Defensively, I think the safeties and cornerbacks had a pretty good game, despite the fact that I really do not like this style of defense, because it seems like players on the opposing, wide receivers for the opposing team are always in wide open space and that our DBs are 15 yards away. And that's disheartening. So to me, I just hope they can tighten that up because they will get picked apart by good quarterbacks for sure. And who else? I think that's all I got. I'm probably missing somebody, but I don't want to make it too long. I just want to say that good to have JD5 back. You got to appreciate it right now. You might not see it or you might feel like it's too early to say that, but his football IQ is top shelf. And there's my guy Tay Martin. Got a first down last week. Got another close to a first down this week. Just a reliable professional receiver that seems like he has the energy as such that, he's pretty reliable. And Krosky Merritt has got to learn to juke some of these safeties, which he has done, but sometimes he takes some hits that he doesn't need to take. But generally, he has an opportunity to be a really, really high-end running back in the league. Just work on your strength in the offseason, get those legs a little bit stronger, continue to build up that muscle, and go for it. 5 sacks on Justin is a hell of a big deal. So we're definitely generating pressure and generating sacks when we were all calling for a dominant edge rusher, but they're definitely generating sacks for sure. Oh, another guy that showed up and was pretty good. 2 guys, actually. We saw Deron Payne back to his good playing ways this game. And Javon Kinlaw was dominant at times. So really enjoyed this game, although in the beginning, who didn't feel like, okay, this team is doing it again. They're having issues. And even reporters were like, in the beginning when it was 10-0, they were like, here we go again, so. And Jeremy McNichols, he can play for my team as long as he wants, as long as he's in shape, because he always makes a play, even if he just comes off the bench. He's just a guy that you want in that running back room, and he's going to be a good coach. And they said that he wanted to be a coach after his playing days, and I can see it. So he's just collecting wisdom at this time while being on a team, and hopefully he can get a ring. He's one of those players that you're like, I just hope he can get a ring because he does everything the right way. He's one of those players that, again, like Luke McCaffrey, it's just one of those players you have on a championship team. Jeremy Reeves at times was just overplaying everything, and I was so frustrated. As you can see here, you stay home and you break down and you stop that run. But, of course, Dorrance Armstrong had a good game as well. 2 sacks in this game. Man, let's keep this thing rolling. Let's see if they can't play a good game against the Bears, considering all of it's a little bit of pressure there because of how they won against Chicago and how Chicago is going to prove a point and how Ben Johnson is going to want to prove a point. And he's going to want to run up the score on the Commanders because of what happened against his offense in Detroit. So that's going to be interesting. All right, so we'll end on this. It's a commercial for the on the NFL YouTube page, and who wants to see that? But let's continue this discourse in the comments. Let me know. Thank you so much. And let's go on to the next